In this lesson, we're gonna discuss the first phase of rigid framework. After pouring concrete and site survey, following is the first phase of rigid framework, which is composed of two processes. Site survey figure out things if the anchor boards are bolted firmly to the foundation, or if the position of the anchor bolts are corresponding to the plan, and if not, how big is the error. The first process of the phase is the prefabrication. Most elements of steel frames are cut in the size required, trimmed, and assembled for delivery. Through site survey, find out errors of position of the anchor bolts, and if the error exists, note them to the manufacturer and modify the frame elements in the factory. In this factory, finish fabrications based on the result of site survey. And in the site, insert base plates on the anchor bolts. After the bolting, steel frame members are delivering in the site. Delivery process is composed of four processes. Designate prefabrication factory, prefabrication, test on the product, and delivery to the site. Delivery requires both truck and lifting equipment because of heavy weight of prefabricated members. After the delivery, while the frame elements are unloaded on the staging area, initiate works at both erecting, fabricating new frame elements with panel, prior connecting, and assembling channel for building hardware. Then lift fabricated column to proper position. A proper position means the position that anchor bolts and the base plate are interlocked. Taking a closer look on steel frame elements delivered to the site in this project. A short segment of beam is sticked to the column like a girder. It is because this project chooses the bracket connection. Normal rigid frame have three complicated connection on column to beam, beam to beam, and column. So even minor error in connection result in major error on structure above the connection. Erecting is difficult to modify error. That's the reason why we leave the base plate by filling mortar under of them. Listening error is the most important thing in erecting. When choosing bracket connection, as you see, cut the beams on the point of it having the least bending moment. Weld the beam to the column in the factory. Perforate hole on the beam to make space for the high strength bolt. Then this structure can be delivered inside. Also, the base plates are all welded to the columns. After the manufacturer members with beams are delivered in the site, high-strength bolt connection on beam to beam should be done. The advantage of this connection is decrease of construction period due to the prefabrication in factory. Especially in this project, building with differential angle on corner is inevitable from using bracket connection. An erecting method in this project is tier construction method, one of the conventional construction method. The reason we use the tier construction method is primarily because of bracket connection and frequent choice of it mainly in small buildings. Tier construction method erect column first, then bolt them with girder to finish framing. Without this method, column and beam should be installed in level at once, then the next level. Therefore, using bracket connection and tier construction method at same time is the most efficient. So make holes and anchor bolts have same displacement and can be bolted. Float bolting. Now the columns are stable. Now explain using this model. Place the structural elements on the anchor bolts and bolt column and anchor bolts together. Lifting for the tower crane cannot be used in small building construction, so lift the elements using crawler. After the columns are erected, go through the beam connection process. Bracket connection already provides short span beams on each columns, so bolting beams to beams can be progressed immediately. Moreover, for the immediately bolting, all beams are already preformed in the factory. So in the field, place splice plate on bolt on every connection between two beams. This bolting period should be short if it's possible. So after the columns are erected, work should be progressed. Using tier construction method, one of the conventional construction method, beams are bolted from bottom to top. And in the floor plan, beams are bolted from core to perimeter. Beams are lifted by crawler, and temporary bolting on lift beams would be progressed with worker. Temporary bolting means that not all of hole on beams would be not bolted. Temporary bolting literally means bolting the structure temporarily. So bolt in this process on needed 1/2 or 1/3 of the entry number of holes. The reason of temporary bolting is that partial permanent bolting increased the possibility of tilt and twist of structure above the caused by error on joints. So temporary bolting should be processed from the core. Lifting for temporary bolting requires 2 workers for manually bolting. Let's take a closer look on 2 connections, beam to beam and beam to columns. Bracket connection is chosen for this project. The short beams are already drilled on the column in the factory, and prefabricated elements are delivered. So these beams would be bolted using high-strength bolts. There are 2 steel plates on both sides of column webs, and these plates are called stiffener. When the connection of 2 beams are subject to lateral force after permanent bolting, stiffener reinforcing the connection to protect from the shear force and bending moment. The stiffeners are delivered with 2 beam in factory as well. Connection makes 2 beams meet together, and to expect an easier connection, beam should be cut with distance about 5 to 10 mm between 2 beams. In this way, beam structure would be connected and 2 workers would work on temporary bolting at the end of the lift beam. Let's visualize structural connection. To make columns more stabilized, temporary bolting should be progressed as fast as possible. And the connections are done. Splicing plate on the top and bottom. Stiffeners on both sides of the web should be completely attached to the beam. For an utmost connection not shaking after permanent bolting. Temporary bolting using high-strength bolts start from the core and ends to perimeter, similar to the erecting columns on floor. Bolting should be processed on 1/2 to 1/3 of the entire holes. After temporary bolting is completed, correct deformation on entire steel frames. Process of correcting deformation must be progressed on each level. Determine the existence of deformation using laser level, and if it exists, unbolt and bolt repeatedly for leveling. All deformations are modified to make the structure without deformation. In case of big construction work, diagonal bracing using turnbuckles and wire would be correct deformations. So this is end of temporary bolting. Using impact wrenches, process permanent bolting and complete it.